So Jai Bhim all, since we are running late, I'm sorry our moderator, Dr. Manisha Bankar, had to leave. And I'm Smita Dandge, and I will be moderating the activism panel. Uh, just to give a brief introduction about myself, I did my master's in computer science in US, and this was like 20 years ago. I came to US and did that, and I have been a part of social activism, caste-based activism as well for past 18 years now. And we have two great panelists for our activism panel, Huma Bashirdhar as well as Priyanka Sandilia. Let me introduce them. Huma is an adjunct professor of critical studies at the California College of the Arts. She's also a lecturer at Ethnic Studies and Gender Women's Studies Department at UC Berkeley. Humadar's parental family is from Pasamanda Muslim origin, which was ethically cleansed from Kashmir in 1948-49 for their politics, supporting the Kashmir's right to self-determination. They exiled from Kashmir after accepting Islam during the Dogra regime and fought for independence from the British. With an interdisciplinary background in South Asian film and gender studies, Dar's work is focused on the intersections and co-formations of race, religion, class, caste, gender, and sexuality and national politics of South Asia. So this is pretty heavy for all of us. She intersects with so many things, and it's centered on intellectual and political activism for social justice, especially in Indian occupied Kashmir. Humadar is a founding member of working group on Muslim identities and culture based on the Center for Race and Gender, and Huma has organized the feminist conference Boundaries in Question on the theme of women and war at UC Berkeley. So welcome, Huma, there. Priyanka is from Gond Nation. Her ancestors have been displaced due to coal mining since Industrial Revolution in India. Her village still comes under sensitive areas as it comes under coal blocks. Her lived experience is an intersection of modernity, Hinduism, and Adivasi discourse. She's a BTech and MSW and PhD pursuing in social historical anthropology at McMaster University in Canada. She is a founder of Adivasi Birsa Jaipal Student Collective and a mentor at Adivasi Overseas Education Collective. Her research focuses on discourses and survival strategies at the margins. So again, welcome to Priyanka. With the introductions done, I would like to go for a round of questions to both of our panelists, starting with Huma. I want to understand from you, how are Bahujan women contributing in activism as activists in our movement? Over to you, Huma.
Thank you so much. So first of all, let me appreciate everyone at Ambedkar group here, and especially AANA, Asmita, who was the one who invited me and has been sharing all the information with me, and all of you, all the brilliant panelists and hosts who have made this a brilliant event. Thank you so much. And Jai Bhim, Jai Savitri, Jai Fatima, and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I begin in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. And I'm located right now in Berkeley, where it is now almost 9 a.m. And it's the Berkeley is its colonial name. Its actual name is the village Lachon of the Karkan Ohlone people, whose land, whose bounty, whose food, whose air give me nourishment and my children, whom I've raised as a single mother in this country for 32 years. As a person from oppressed caste background, oppressed religious background, from an occupied territory, it behooves me to recognize the oppressions in which we have relatives here, in which we have friends and sisters and brothers and relatives here. So that said, the Bahujan women, Dalit Bahujan women are amazing. It is Dalit Bahujan women who make the world run, the part of the world that I know. We make the things, we make the discourse go around. We analyze, we write, we talk, we gossip, we watch, we observe, and we do our activism in many different fields, not just in what the Savarna world calls as activism, but as mothers, as sisters, as friends, as fellow film watchers, as we convey knowledge and we activate, which is the core word for activism, to activate those around us. And we do that all the time before this word was invented. So, and we have all our examples, we have example of Tenmuri Sundara Rajan, we have example of Raya Sarkar, and we know the list of sexual harassers and the kind of reaction that Raya faced. In fact, I invited her at UC Berkeley to give a talk the very same month that the list came out. And I remember I started receiving threats and intimidations from all kinds of people, and some of them including Bahujan men folk as well. And this is here, just like we insist on recognizing the intersectionality, and as Dalit Bahujan women, we recognize how caste is such a critical part of our identities and of the problems that we face. In the same way, I think we really have to recognize how Islamophobia and how colonialism, and I'm saying that from where I'm located right now in the settler colony of US, as well as from where my people are from, which is Kashmir. Because to pretend that there are no Dalit Bahujans in Kashmir is wrong. To pretend that the methods of occupying, the methods of tyranny, the methods of zulm that are exacted on our bodies are different from the methods of the caste system is actually incorrect. And I have been talking about it, working about it, writing about it, Facebooking about it, tweeting about it for the last at least 12, 13, 14 years. And with the help of all my Dalit Bahujan, to be honest, sisters and non-binary relatives in social media, people I've never met, but I owe gratitude to them for thinking along with me. And some examples that I would like to give are that of Asifa Bano, 8-year-old girl of the Gujar Bakarwal tribe, who was kidnapped, gang raped, murdered in a Hindu temple in Katwa region, Jammu. And belatedly, there was activism in India about the murder of this young baby, young girl. And they all fixated only on her gender. And we know, as this particular group of women and non-binary people, we know that when people take out our caste away from that context, how unethical and dishonest that is, right? So in the very same way, to take out the context of caste in that case, as well as the biggest vector of oppression for all of our people, which is colonialism. The upper caste Hindus and the state wants Jammu to be free of the Muslims. And in the case of Bakarwals, who are about 8.1% of the population, of the Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir. They wanted them to leave the villages, the towns in Indian occupied Jammu. To take that vector, to take that context out of our activism was heartbreaking. It was absolutely dishonest. It was like talking about Hirlanji without the caste angle. It was like talking about Marit Chapi without the caste angle. It is incorrect. We are missing the biggest reason why that young girl, young angel, was raped and killed. And the same with the derogation of the Article 350 and 370 and the Article 35A. The most of the people who are being unhoused are actually the people who since 1991 have been on label are called scheduled tribe, the Bakarwals, the nomadic Bakarwals and the Gujars. 100-year-old women, 88-year-old women with all their families are given 5 hours notice to vacate their houses. And imagine, these people are they're already poor. They're already the most vulnerable people in their societies, and the Indian state comes in and makes them homeless. We don't. And my question for activism is, where are our Dalit Bahujan sisters, brothers, relatives, non-binary people in India? Why are they not talking about it? Do you remember that question about from the African American, the black woman who said, "Ain't I a woman?" So in the same way, I would like to ask, aren't we Dalit Bahujan? Are they not Pasmanda human beings that no one speaks for them? So it's my plea, it's my request, it's my humble request to ask for activism. And activism is not the kind of thing that is carried out as a transaction. You give me 100 rupees here, I give you 100 rupees there. No. We do it because it's right. We do it because it is our responsibility as human beings to do that. And I know that my pain is felt by many Dalit Bahujan. And I completely understand there are many Dalit Bahujans, activists, relatives of mine in India who, if they speak openly, they will suffer the wrath of the Indian state. I completely understand that. So I don't expect them to actually openly say this. But there are people based here and outside of India. And I can't even tell you how much it would matter to see some even token solidarity. I don't have words to actually tell you because it would make me cry. So yeah, I mean, activism, we are the doers, and yet to see this silence breaks my heart. We are on genocide alert. The Genocide Watch has actually issued a genocide alert for us, and we are dying, we are screaming, and you can't hear us. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Uma, for touching our hearts. And I truly and completely believe that Dalit Bahujan activists should be a part of this, and we should show solidarity. And thank you for bringing this up. Yeah. I would now like to invite Priyanka to talk about the role of Dalit Bahujan women who are contributing in activism for our movement.
Thank you, Smita, for inviting me, and thank you, Uma, for beautifully articulating and setting a language for me also. I was listening to you, and I was also thinking like what activism means to me. why am I thought of me as an activist, or people have tagged me as an activist? So I was like thinking on it, and I thought like activism, like when I break it into three parts, it's like act plus IV plus ism. So I see it as act as action, IV as collective, and then ism as philosophy, our social location, um, historic injustice on us, and then ideology. And I do remember, like, I was not knowing what activism is when I was in India. First time when when I was declined from education, when I was, taken admission in MPhil, uh, and the moment I got it, it was close to 9th of August, and I thought like, let's convert it into a collective celebration. And the first time, in a campus, in a Jaipur campus, indigenous celebration happened, and that's how a collective formed. And people started calling me as an student activist. And then the second tag, when I got it, when I landed up in Canada, and my supervisor said like, I don't want to do any activism kind of research, rather I want to um, do a theoretical work. And from that time I felt blocked, that how a bio color with people, my Asian supervisor can see me like that. And I felt like it is the same phenomena is happening with me, what happened in India. So nothing is different. And obviously, when someone is coming from a uh, masculinity and in a male body, obviously they can access more power on you. So, and I got traumatized, and I lost my own confidence, and I struggled for it for the last 2.5 years. This is, I would say, like, this is my first conference after 2.5 years where I'm appearing and I'm sharing my narrative with my own community, and I'm really feeling it as my community. And I'm talking because it's not a national space; it is an international space. Coming back to how Dalit, Bahujan, non-binary folks are contributing to activism. Uh, Whenever I read or I see that understanding of even Adivasis are very much hollow. It's very much like empty in Indian context. Why I'm saying it, because when I was in Jaipur campus, one of the Kashmiri boy, he came to me and he used to write scheduled tribe, um, and he used to access the uh, facilities which are given to us, which is our rights. And he told me that we don't have those kind of cultural things which you guys have from the Jharkhand or Chhattisgarh areas. We are a bit different. And I said like, okay, Adivasi or tribalness is something which is different. They appreciate diversity. And where there is no diversity, I don't see any indigeneity in that space. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Smith, I will request, like, if I'll freeze somewhere, please take up the charge, and I'll come back and I'll address it later. So
your voice is going straight
and
to the
again,
heart.
starting from like, thank you so much. And then starting from Kashmir to Kerala, where people even hesitate to open up, whether they are Dalit or they are Adivasis or people. They hesitate to open up. And even when people come from like Northeast,
Yeah, looks like Priyanka, you're frozen a little bit right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Priyanka, for the better quality, you can turn off your video so your voice can be clear and you won't freeze.
Yeah. And you're muted right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, starting from Kashmir to Kerala to Northeast region to west of India, and again in central India, it's very problematic, like how we understand indigeneity in India, and then how we understand gender or indigenous women within that broader framework. Uh, I have experienced by myself when a Northeast people is standing with me, they don't see them as a human. Um, and they will see me as a human based on my features, not on based on my identity or my gender, just based on my color. So this kind of, when we don't talk about these things, when which is like very much visible but making it as a invisible in a public spaces, or sometimes in a personal spaces, or sometimes even in a relationship, I think it becomes very problematic, and we need to talk about it. We need to lobby around it for writing, for bringing it out into a policy level, or we need to take action on it. For example, um, as I am in a social sciences and humanities sector, so I'm I'm taking national overseas scholarship, and we all know what is happening to it. So in that sense, when we see like we are no, our freedom has been demolished in the sense of not able to study or research our own histories, our own language, our own culture, and making us again intellectually vulnerable and politically
Yeah. And I come, since Priyanka has frozen again, I completely agree with Priyanka as well that having a dialogue, having a conversation is the first step for identifying the atrocities. And then the next step would be creating policies around uh, to curb them. So definitely, these are few things that we should be doing. I would like to go to Huma now to understand what are the main challenges that Bahujan women face being in the activism movement or being an activist. What are the main challenges you feel that Bahujan women or non-binary women face?
Uh, yes, as a Bahujan woman, the challenge is that Savarna society, that the racist white settler colonial society here and the Savarna societies back in our countries poses for us are huge. They're immense. It's, and by the way, my last name is not Dhar, it's Dar. The caste location of those two last names is very different.
Oh, I'm,
But
I'm really sorry.
that's okay. No worries.
My-
No worries. It's okay. Um, it's everything and anything, and it's sometimes it takes you a little while to really catch up and recognize things as casteist, as Brahminical, in one's work, in the field of activism, in the field of whatever work we're doing, whether we're working in computer science or whether we're working as a teacher or a professor or a student or an artist or as a speaker. The kind of Brahmanism that we face, and because there are so many Savarnas around us, and given my location here at UC Berkeley, all my years of being an undergraduate and then a graduate student here, being asked to take people's garbage away and throw them away at parties, being not given the funding to travel to conferences where I was giving two papers and being a moderator of a third panel, and Savarna students who presented nothing would get funding from the department to go just to attend, just to see what it was like. Not once, this happened every year. multiple times a year. And it's only at a distance that I finally I can, with confidence, name it as Brahminism, as casteism. So I know that they thrive on our silence. I know that they thrive. They want to make us fail, but and they're also really jealous, and they're really scared, and they're really intimidated when all of us, with all of our different intersectionalities, come together and form loving solidarities with each other. I know that it really scares them, because here's a Kashmiri Muslim Bahujan woman, making contacts with a Gond woman, a fellow PhD student, with a professor at UC San Diego who's a Dalit Shia Muslim woman, with a Dalit woman from Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu. That is their nightmare. So whatever challenges that they throw, we need to know we are here for each other, and we need to know that we will hold each other's hands, and we will hear each other out, and we are here to make space for each other. So along with the challenges, I am an optimist. I think that's the only reason why I've survived so far. So I want to look at the positive aspects as well. I have to. I honestly would not have survived. So thank you, and that this coming together is increasing. Thank goodness, alhamdulillah for that. That it is increasing. It is coming together. So thank you for that, and to be able to name the oppressors. And I am, I am a Muslim, and I'm taught that even if my parents, even if my somebody as close to me as my own parents are the oppressors, I should be able to name them. So it gives me courage. I think that faith, that truth is truth, and one should not be scared of naming it wherever it comes from. It gives me strength. I think it makes me a better activist, and it makes me, even if I realize even if I don't get justice in this world, I will get justice in another realm. And it keeps me going. So whatever the challenges laid in our path, I think it's also good to know how we can face those challenges. And we all have our different spiritual traditions that give us strength.
Yeah, and you are coming to our next point, that how do we overcome or face these challenges? So if you want to continue on that, please go ahead, Huma.
Well, I mean, seriously, it is, it is through alliances. It is through faith in, for me personally, this person, Humadar, faith in God, faith in Allah, that Allah loves justice. That is one of the names that we call Allah. That He loves justice. He is just, and that the world, it's never fully just. We can only work towards it, and it is our duty, it's our responsibility to work towards justice, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us, everyone. And it sounds intense and it sounds too much, but once you start working together, you realize that all our injustices are actually tied together, are intertwined. So our goal is actually the same. To think that we will be able to deoccupy, liberate Kashmir without annihilating the caste system is incorrect. But on the flip side, to think that anyone can annihilate the caste system while keeping colonies of India is also ludicrous. We are together in very basic ways, right? So just recognizing that, realizing that, and I have some very, very wonderful friends amongst the people gathered here today. And they know we talk to each other hours through text, and how that helps to know that there's another who wishes the best for you, who hears you, who's gone through that, right? Because I think that is one of the problems we face, that no one, just like men never really get, cis men never really quite get, and they can't, their bodily experiences are so different of a woman or a non-binary person's challenges. In the same way, somebody who's not faced the caste system, a savarna, a brahmin, does not get it. I mean, I'm so sorry. They try to get it, and kudos to them and thank you to them, but I'm not sure they can get it because it's not a lived reality for them. So those of us who live it, to find other people who've gone through different things, similar things, and it's a sanity check. Then you realize, oh my god, I'm not mad. It's not just me, it's not just personal. And that thing actually also really helps to realize it's not there's nothing wrong particularly about me, that or this person and that savarna and that brahmin and that kshatriya and that brahmin were against me. No, it's about the caste system. It's about their brahminical vision. It's the way they see me. It's the way they construct their world vision. And to have other partners who've gone through same, it makes one breathe like, wow, okay, I'm sane, I'm not mad, and this is right, this is happening. That helps as well. So friendships, guys, friendships, deep, sincere friendships, um, are are huge.
Yeah. I completely agree with you on this, because when I started as an activist versus where I am right now, I see so much of more support system within the community, and not just from within the community, as you are saying, the intersectionality. So important. Yeah, can't break caste without breaking colonial without breaking colonies, and can't break colonies without breaking caste system.
Breaking caste.
Yeah, completely agree with you on that. Thank you so much. I would like to now ask the same question to Priyanka, and because she comes from an indigenous background, which is again very important to have an intersectional conversation with. uh, Priyanka, what do you think? What are the main challenges Bahujan women face in our movement? And how do you think we can overcome those challenges?
Thank you, Smita, for keeping this question uh, on the table. Because because no, I when I think of challenges, I also think of emotions, and I think like why we always emote as a no, as a fear or as a shame or as a silence or as a louder person. They are like multiple emotions. Why we have no only like 5-6 emotions we have? Why can't our body emote in a different way? Why it is made in that way? And I feel like that's the challenges, one of the challenges for us, that no, we are restricted to emote in a certain way. And then again, the whole articulation of it when comes out in a totally different when how we articulate and how no non-Bahujan people they articulate. And again, when we go in a diaspora space, again the context and everything changes drastically. So these are the challenges I see that every Bahujan woman they face, in whichever sector they are. And I feel that to overcome these things is that no that it makes me resilient, it makes me more critical, and makes me more sharper for analysis. And that's the strength on the wisdom I get when I reflect on the challenges, not on my own personal challenges, but challenges of all the Bahujan women. When I hear to them, when I feel that I'm going through the same pain when I listen to them. So, and that automatically those wounds with time, it converts into the wisdom. So I think like I'm a we all are we all are situated in an indigenous land and indigeneity, that we have a capability of doing those things. And I think like that's the magic of our ecology or environment, that we are blessed in those ways. Also, I feel that, keeping compassion within us, not bringing hatred or jealous, or thinking that why can't we also research on or make subject or no object of non-Bahujan categories. We only restrict ourselves to our own identity. Why we can't go beyond that? Why we can't argue with our supervisors or the university structure that it doesn't matter, I want to work on this thing. Why can't we raise money for our own research, getting those kind of freedom? And again, lastly, I feel that, uh, attaching suffix to everything, like decolonizing, then castellization, and then de-Islamophobialization. So, bringing those things together again, bringing out justice and equality will be one of the method for overcoming, which I am practicing in my personal um, uh, experiences, and again in my research and activism.
So nicely put, Priyanka. Thank you. Yeah, we definitely have to be compassionate. At the same time, we have to be economically independent to raise our voices too, because money is, to a certain extent, gives a lot of power for our own selves to do the things that we are being prohibited to do. So yes, Bahujan women need to raise money, and again, reiterating what you both said, that it is very important for Bahujan women to understand the other women, because as you were pointing out, their nuances, their experiences are very different. So a cis man cannot understand those things. They want to understand, but they cannot probably understand all those things. So that probably then, instead of trying to deeply understand, but what Bahujan men can do is to raise funds to make Bahujan women more independent in whatever activities they want to do, whatever research they want to do. So that is one way to contribute to. We have a little more time, so I would like to take I would like to see first, do panelists have anything to share? Do Huma or Priyanka have anything more to share?
I want to thank Priyanka. I'm deeply moved by what you shared, Priyanka, and it was deep. Your reflections on emotions uh, really pierced my heart. And I wish I was closer so I could make food for you and have you over and just hug you and hold you. But I am here. You should exchange. You have my email addresses and all. Let's keep in touch. And inshallah, things get better. Sometimes they get worse. When we are being successful, there's backlash. So it's very ironic, when we're being successful, we actually do feel bad. There is backlash. There is pushback on our success as well. So be prepared for that. So I think it teaches us to find some source of satisfaction inside ourselves. It doesn't always come from outside. And regarding the men of our community, cis men of our community, I think even hearing us out, listening to us with respect, that is the first thing. Many men can't listen to women, to non-binary people, to our experiences, to our advice, to our judgment. They don't find it inside themselves to actually even listen, leave alone to follow and understand and stand by us, with us, or wherever we ask them to stand. And I wish that our men could do that, and because we fight for them all the time too. We fight for our men all the time. Dalit Bahujan man, Muslim man, Kashmiri man, we are always fighting with them because they are also an endangered, category. But they can't take it out on us. That is just not on. And they need to learn how to learn from us. Right. So I know that there are men in the audience. So this is a sister's request to them. And take it with with the sweetness that it is offered.
Yeah, absolutely. With the open heart,
Open heart.
learn how to learn from us. That is amazing. Thank you. I see we have a question from AANA. AANA, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Mata. And Huma, the honor was all mine to get in touch with you. The pleasure was all mine. And I know this is the last panel, but definitely not the least out here. We have two amazing speakers, Huma and Priyanka, both of them. The common grounds that they have is that they come from indigenous lands. One is Kashmir and one is the Gondwana land. And having this opportunity here of both of them being on the same panel, I would please like them, both of you, to share some thoughts on your indigenous lands. I know it would take an entire session to throw light on it and to have your thoughts about your land, your struggles, your people, your lives. And these things need to come out, especially now during this right-wing hegemony that is going on in India, and with all the I should use a bad word with it, the Kashmir file things going on. So please, both of you, shed some light so that we hear things from the horse's mouth. Thank you.
Priyanka, dear, why don't you go ahead first and then I can speak? Is that okay? Would you like to?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. That is absolutely fine with me. And I happily, I'm very happy to share this narrative, which is actually wiped out from the history. And I really want to say it in front of my mother. She's just standing next to me, and she's listening everything, though she is not that much adaptive with the English language, but she has a patience to listen to her daughter and all the sisters present in the session. So it's interesting that when Akbar was there in his era, Gondwana kingdom and Gondwana, region was mapped in the map, but after that it was wiped out. Colonial, when Britishers they came, they have not mentioned in their map. And we know that after independence, no one recognized, Akbar's map because he was a Muslim. So how much hatred, they have that they that even our imagination, the maps, the language, everything is very much full of hatred. And the correct word what Shikha used is damaged, that even our imagination will take years to catch our histories. And again, when you are in a woman, even community men won't allow you to collect those narratives and those part of histories, because they want political power, not documentation or in this way, especially if it is written by a woman. So again, those things are there. And the Gondwana land, which I'm mentioning about, it is intersection. Right now, it is intersection between 7 to 8 states. So every states have the Gond people. They either use that state language or their Goni language. So how much messed up their memory and their consciousnesses is is also a kind of question. And another thing is that Nagpur is a very important place. We all know the whole movement of Ambedkarism started from there. Also, uh, Nagpur was the capital of central India, central province, soon after independence. And that was very important space of Gondwana. There is a Gondwana kingdom there, palace there. Still, that space, no, you can see Diksha Bhumi and you can see um, Bhumi of RSS. And in between, you'll see a small space of um, a queen, which is a good Gondwana queen, and there is no mention about her because again she is a woman. So how even these things are wiped out from the written document is like one thing, and when non-Bahujan community or a researcher, when they come, they take up what they want because like oral histories, narratives, art, everything is sellable. So no indigenous knowledge is very much creates lots of money, lots of market. It creates a big economy, not for indigenous people, but for non-indigenous people. I would say like for non-Bahujan people. So that's the no tragedy we see in everyday of life. And then again, when it becomes that oral histories of us, again it is has been distorted by different languages. And when it comes to the faith system, everyone take from the nature, but who is the nature worshipper? They have been tagged with multiple religion. And state is one of the no culprit, I would say, which has taken them as a Hindus, by their own choices and not listening to them when they are saying like they are non-Hindus. So understanding whole this narrative with more processes for more intersectionality. And the Gondwana region is not only lived by Gond nations or Gond people. There are also Bahujan community who lives, and Gond people and Bahujan people have a different kind of power relation. They don't share dominant versus recipient of power. They have a different dynamics. But the moment when non-Bahujan people, when they come in, all dynamics get changed. So this is also part of history, I feel, which is I have not written on it, but I am listening since childhood that how a village, even a village is constructed within a Gondwana land. And that concept is totally different from Gandhi's concept of village and the administrative definition of village. So it again, when I started reading about like how village is constructed within Gondwana land, and then how my Dalit sisters, how they see village as, and my uh, Muslim sisters, how they see a village as. So I have seen like we have a common perspective that how village is, but that perspective is missed when I go out of Gondwana land. So this is the historical thing about the Gondwana land. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Priyanka. It hurts my heart to hear about the attempt by the various regimes and Brahminism and the empires to annihilate the people. But I pray that annihilation never happens and that you guys reunite and reclaim your land, because our identities really are very much connected to our land. I've only visited Kashmir once for 3 weeks, and I used to cry every day, at least 3 or 4 times. And it just would come to me. because I realized there that I belong to the land. My flesh, my bones, my hair, my nails, my speech, my eyes belong to the land. Like the trees belong to the land, like the rocks belong to the land. I was just like the rocks and the trees. I belonged there. Um, I, I think Priyanka, you know what I mean. It was a visceral feeling that I belong to this land. This is my land. This is where my grandparents and great grandparents and great great grandparents are buried, and they worked it, and they were peasants here, and they were weavers here, and this is our land. It's our blood, and our dust is right here. And also the love for the land. So this kind of colonial exploitation of land, which Brahminism practices throughout India, because it does not love the land the way we love the land. It is very exploitative, extractive of land. And we have an old saying by this Muslim Sufi called Nuruddin Rishi, who says, we are here only as far as the forests are here. And in these last 2.5 years, the Indian occupation has cut down more than 300,000 trees. And again, I am appalled. I am in shock that all these big name environmentalists, the Brahmin, the Savarna environmentalists that get flown to London and Tokyo and New York, have kept silent about it. I have not heard a single word about the murder of our ecology, and because where it's placed in the Himalayas, it is called third pole. So after the North Pole and the South Pole, this is the largest collection of drinking water. That provides water and water for drinking and irrigation to grow our crops to 1.8 billion people. That's intense. So it's the waters that originate here go into Pakistan, go into India, go into Afghanistan, go into Bangladesh, go into Tibet. And what the Indian regime is doing, the kind of dams it's constructing, the kind of surveillance equipment with nuclear powered batteries that it is burying in those mountains. All of us are connected. The earth will not be able to sustain that kind of hazard that India is so flippantly doing. And it's Brahminism. That is not a quality that Dalit Bahujans have towards land. Because we are the peasants, we grow the food, we clean the land, we live, we are of the land. And so there is much more a deeper love, relationality with the land than the Brahmins and the Savarnas have. They exploit, they extract, not just from us and our labor and our bodies, but also from the land. And it's really sad that that the world doesn't know, and it's not doing anything. And every time I tweet, I tag as many people as I can, and I'm sometimes I think they must think I'm crazy because I keep on in Brahminical, colonial, Islamophobic India, and all of us are tied together in that freedom and also in that oppression. So I think it is a Mother Earth that is suffering. And with the love that we bear for our land. And here I am on Ololi land in Lashan village, and I know the kind of love that land can give you, because we are a part of that land. So thank you so much for asking this question. And the obnoxious film Kashmir Files, where the Brahmin have not only they're twisting the facts, and it is. I had not planned to see it because I didn't want to see this manipulation of facts, the villains coming out as the heroes and the victims coming out as the villains. And yet I think at this point I will have to see it, because it's raising such ruckus all over the world, and it is dangerous. And I'm appalled, I'm surprised, I'm shocked, I'm aghast that all the Brahmin professors, intellectuals, film historians are not able to correct the basic facts. How many Brahmins were migrated? What were the number of people who were killed? By whom? What was the number of Kashmiri Muslims killed? What happened? Did this particular incident, Girjati happen or not? Or did that particular incident happen or not? And there were letters written by 23 very prominent Kashmiri Brahmin. And notice that I'm calling them Kashmiri Brahmin, not Kashmiri Pandits, because even the title Pandit was a colonial title given to them by the Mughals, by Akbar. And by calling themselves Pandits, they hide their Brahminness. It is the fact of our colonialism and the Brahminism that in 400 plus years of colonialism, the 96, 97% of Kashmiri Muslims in the valley were reduced to less than 2% literacy. We were only the tellers. We were indentured labor. We were debt peonage. Our women were taken into sex work to the extent that 25% of the Dogra king's revenue, his income, came from sex work from Muslim Kashmiri women. 25%. And the Brahmins had to pay no taxes. The Muslims who wove the shawl, which we could never wear, we had to give 80% taxes. And to disappear all of that context for this film is criminal. It's absolutely criminal. And I hope all of you, all of the attendants, the 30 attendants that are left, will look these facts up. These are out there. And please check for the active genocide that we are under. And, all of these Brahmins, when they complained about reservations and the quota system and they taunt us, throw back this fact at them. The Kashmiri Brahmins have a reservation of 3% in all centrally owned institutes of higher education, IITs, AIMS, all the central universities in Hyderabad, etc., have a 3% reservation for a demography that is 0.002% of the population. So they are overrepresented 150 times, right? And and I know how much they scream and complain about giving Dalit Bahujans a due share in the reservations in India. Shame on them. Absolutely shame on them. So, just because something is printed or something comes out in a film, don't believe in it, guys. Use your own brain, use your own critical sense, and seek out the truth, because that ain't the truth. This Brahmin truth, it was never the truth. They know how to steal, they know how to steal, they know how to lie, they know how to steal. And then they'll lie again. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding negative after sounding really positive. But I'm just literally, it's funny. It's horrible. It's funny. It's so horrible that it's funny. That this is what they do. So I hope all of you will watch out for that and not fall into the traps. Thank you. And thank you again for this really lovely question, AANA. Bless you.
Thank you, Huma. Thank you, AANA. And thank you, Priyanka. Does anyone have any more questions? Please raise your hand.
I can actually go on and on, but it would be more of a one-on-one. I'm not sure, Smita, how much time we have.
We are at time now, AANA. So if there are no questions, then I would like to conclude. But if there is one small question, you can go ahead. Otherwise, we can conclude.
Yeah, it was amazing, Priyanka, to listen to Gondwana land. I would love to hear more about it because that is not much widespread word. There are still, or maybe I'm ignorant to it. I still have access to some of the facts of Kashmir, but not of Gondwana land. And just one thing that, as you mentioned, Huma, that you do understand that if people raise their voices, the Bahujan people, if they raise their voices in India, then they will be hit by the combat forces of these oppressive people. So how would you suggest they still help out? And this would again go to Priyanka as well. Priyanka and Huma both. That in spite of being safe, how else can they be an ally and stand in solidarity with your struggles?
Thank you, Avana, for that question. I think there's so many ways. If it's happening to your neighbor, what do? You stand up at the wall and you find out how you're doing. Do you need something? Do you need some food? Do you need to hide? Do you need me to deliver something? Can I get something for you? And that's the person to person. And in knowing our current localities and the distance, maybe not joining the army because there's no draft in Indian Army, right? Unless there's obligatory draft, not joining the army because the army, as in the state, is genocidal. It's genocidal in Kashmir. It's been genocidal in Assam, in Nagaland, in Manipur, to the Gondals. The army is called to kill the actual Dalit Bahujans. Always, it is not there. Just like the police and the army here in the U.S., it is they're framed, they're designed, their purpose is to bolster white supremacy, not the Black people, not the indigenous people. In exactly the same way, these forces, the army and the police in India, are not there to help Dalit Bahujans. And I think Baba Sahib recognized that. He was ready to burn the constitution with all the beautiful safeguards that are not really able to help us, because he knew that the society is not democratic. You can be electoral democracy, there is no societal, substantial democracy because of the caste system. And I think part of what makes India this state a very tyrannical occupier is precisely the caste system, because in their mind they've already made a hierarchy of human beings: those who can be killed, those who can be spit upon, those who can be unheard, those who can be unseen. So it's easy for them to treat Kashmiris and Nagas and whoever like Dalits, because in their mind that's the system of thinking that's foundational to the way they work, not just as individual people, but as a state, as a country, as a nation. We can do so many things. And when we rise out in number, so let's face it, Kashmiris are what? They're like 14, 15 million in Indian occupied Kashmir, and 8 or 9 million in the valley, whereas Dalit Bahujans are more than 200 million, right? 250 million. You guys are huge. They can't kill all of you. When we come out together, we are a force to reckon with, and also to realize the beauty and the strength of our unity. So if we come out together, if we say, no, this is wrong, this cannot happen in my name. If this happens in my name, I carry the sin of that on my shoulder. Then how many people do you think they can put into jails and prisons? They can't. So there is beauty and strength and power in our numbers. Not the numbers of Kashmiris, but the numbers of Dalit Bahujan in India and Pakistan and Bangladesh and Nepal. Right?
Very rightly said, Huma. And thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, we have huge numbers. I think we need to mobilize to come together so that these huge numbers can actually give results as well. So yeah, I see more questions. I see one hand raised, but I'm sorry, since we are 1 hour delayed now. So I would like to reserve that question for later. And I would like to conclude today. First of all, I would like to thank all the audience for being here, patiently listening, all the men as well, because I think for them, the most important thing is to understand how they can participate in solidarity, how they can listen to us, and there are so many other things they can do while like raising money, so on and so forth, to really be in solidarity with Bahujan women and non-binary people. And we had a very diverse group of panelists today. We had people from so many backgrounds, from Kashmir to the southern part of India, Maya. So thank you so much for all the Dalit, Bahujan, Adivasi, Muslim, uh, and people from non-binary background for coming forward as panelists and sharing your thoughts, your experience, and your expertise. And this is a conversation that we at AANA wanted to begin, where we could gather people in one forum so that in future we can work in solidarity and together in our movements. And this is not just conclusion of the conference, but I see this as a beginning of a bigger movement where we all are working together. So I see more conversations like these going forward, and more collaboration going forward. So I would like to thank each and one of you for coming forward and talking and sharing and also listening. Thank you all. Jai Bhim, Jai Savitri, and Jai Fatima.